Web3 R&D podcast.
Stand together for something revolutionary. Smart contracts, Ethereum, Polkadot, Polygon, Matic, DEX, DeFi.
Badass people.
Inspired by
Badass scientists.
Welcome to 3327 FM.
Hello everyone, this is the first episode of 3327 FM podcast, and because it is the first episode, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about what is it about. So my name is Vladimir and we are recording this podcast as 3327, which is basically an R&D department of MVP Workshop company. The core team is the team that is behind 3327, but apart from that we are also digital collective and we are gathering all the people interested in innovation in Web3 technology, and our role is to basically play around with cutting-edge technologies and figure out what is going to be the next big thing in Web3. So we are passionate about Web3, and I'm going to just tell you that we are going to have lots of interesting topics. We would like to educate you a little bit about Web3 in general, so that we can share the news and our interesting research maybe with you. But we also expect you to educate us in a way that this is going live. We are recording this live, so if you have some interesting topics to discuss with us, you can always drop us a line and we can maybe include you in some of these episodes, or drop us a line on YouTube channel. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to introduce my colleagues, Alex and Uroš. Alex, please present yourself.
Hello everyone, I'm Aleksandar. I'm researcher / developer in 3327.
Uroš.
Hi, I'm Uroš. I'm a Solidity developer and also a researcher at 3327.
Thank you guys. So today we prepared some interesting topics and news, and let's not wait anymore. Let's go to technology news.
Because we read it first.
Okay, so what is interesting, we were following the topics last, I would say, a week or two, and some of the interesting things are happening actually on the market. I don't like to talk and speculate a lot about these topics, but in general, something very interesting and strange is going on. Now, what I'm talking about is that after, a lot of price decline in recent years in all crypto space, and what some people are calling crypto winter, basically in bear market. What is going on is that now some of these tokens are actually recovering, and what is happening is that the native tokens, not only of Ethereum, I mean Ethereum had a little bit of bounce back, and it is strange because it is not really what we can suspect or expect in this moment. But even more strange is that some people say that it is maybe because of the upcoming merge of 19th of September, I think. So maybe this is the reason why Ether is going up. But what is interesting is that also native tokens of other layer 1 solutions are going up, and like Solana, Polkadot, Cardano, Avalanche, and so on. So this is like interesting situation. What do you think, guys? What is the reason for this?
Well, it was about time. So finally everything is coming up roses for the blockchain L1 solutions.
Do you think that the crypto winter is over?
Sure, we're entering crypto July. It looks like the summer is back on track again.
I'm not so sure. I think it's only been a week since it's been going up, so I think it's too early to call to see if it's going to go up or down. But it's really nice to see that things are picking back up.
Yeah, I mean, recently we had this information about inflation in USA, and that recession is coming and things like that. So these are bad news, and the bad news influence the crypto prices also bad. But somehow in this case it doesn't really work. So there are some opinions that when bad news are not influencing the market anymore, we touch the bottom. So maybe
the only way to go is up.
Yeah, the only way to go is up. Do you think that some of these Ethereum killers or layer 1 solutions are really able to kill Ethereum in the future? What do you think, guys?
Well, I won't say they will kill Ethereum, because Ethereum is a large ecosystem and it's there for too long to be removed by some competitors.
Yeah.
But definitely all the chains will find their place in the ecosystem. Like Solana is now finding a place in NFT ecosystem.
I think it comes down to user experience, and what's that determines the, let's say, the winners. of the war.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, I think we had an announcement from the Brave browser recently. I think Alex can introduce us more about that.
Yeah, the Brave browser had the support for Solana as a crypto wallet within the browser, which is probably the good thing to bridge the gap between Solana users. Like you have MetaMask on Chrome, like extension, and to work on Ethereum, to buy tokens, to sell tokens, whatever. You have the extension which is very user friendly. And now the Brave browser introduced the support for Solana blockchain, which basically means that you don't need any extensions. You just fire up the browser.
You don't need to install. Do you use Brave browser, by the way?
Well, sometimes,
right?
Yeah.
This is a strange thing because like I was thinking the Brave browser is here like for I would say 5 years or so, and this is kind of a 2 + 2 = 4 idea. Like it's very. The whole concept of I remember like talking about it 5 years ago or even before that. So that we can change in a way how this online advertising works, so that like content creator gets rewarded, but also the users who are seeing these commercials are actually get rewarded for their attention. So this basic attention token that Brave browser is using is kind of like something that I would say must work. It's a very logical, interesting idea and so on. But what I see is that only now, in a way, the Brave browser is getting the desired popularity and attention. It is my opinion. I don't know, maybe it was just me. Maybe I was not the one who was using it that much in the past.
The Brave browser is now being used for the crypto, but that's a bit of paradox, because I'm personally using the Brave browser on the mobile phone to remove the YouTube ads. So we hope we don't get cancelled for this. And on the phone you don't have any ads for YouTube. You just browse around and you can see how many of those ads were blocked by the Brave browser. And now they're introducing their token, which basically is funding your attention to ads, something like that.
Yes.
Well, that's interesting.
I think we're being a bit too critical of Brave. They managed to get 50 million users in like 5 years.
Yes.
I read somewhere that it took Firefox 10 years to get to that point. So I think Brave is doing an excellent job in getting new users.
Yeah, so you think that this is actually a normal tempo in a way, huh?
Yeah. I think it's like a function of exponential growth.
Yes.
It'll take a bit of time to get a lot of users, but once you do get a lot of users, it'll just keep getting faster and faster.
Yeah, because the benefits of using Brave are actually really good ones. Like you have better privacy, you have actually faster browsing experience, which is important because all these unnecessary ads and everything is removed. And then even you can earn. I was actually experimenting how much I can earn by using Brave for let's say a month.
And
$5. It's not much, but like you get something. It is much more than I get from any other browser because it's zero. So I think it's a very, very nice concept, and I'm very happy that they're incorporating other blockchains as Solana. Solana has some interesting projects as well that can be integrated and that you can use with this integrated wallet very quickly. Like this Step-N project, I like it a lot. Like where you can actually compete in how much steps you make. Or there is another project, I'm not sure about the name, but for music creators and
there's something like that.
Yeah, there is something like that. So anyway, it's an interesting set of tools, and what is also interesting to me? I think that when some of these projects actually, like if you allow easier adoption of certain technology, then also these projects like Magic Eden and NFTs are becoming more accessible, and more people will use it. So it's a like synergy of a kind, because one is boosting another. I think it's very good.
Yeah, and the Brave browser was go ahead. Yeah, the Brave browser was a logical direction to go, because the Brave browser is like privacy first. So the privacy is one of the pillars of the Web3.
Yep.
And it was a logical step to introduce in privacy first browser to introduce some crypto wallets and crypto technology, because many people switched to Brave browser for the same reason as I did. So it was not the crypto. It was
I don't want to see ads.
Yeah, of course, I don't want to see any more ads.
But
They're
maybe
everywhere.
if you're paid, maybe you would want to see them, huh?
Well, that makes a lot of sense because
Especially if it is curated content. So
Especially
you can choose. These
if
are
I
the
want to
types of
see-
ads that I would
Yeah.
like to see.
that's it.
That makes sense, right?
It's a matter of choice. If you get the choice to see ads, I want to see them, then it's a whole different.
Yeah, when I
it
go to
is.
the store, I want to buy something and I want to see what's new, what's happening there. I would like to see those ads. But if you're bombarding me every time with ads with something that I bought yesterday and I don't need it anymore, well, then I switch to Brave.
Yeah, the browser usage is a lot of a matter of habit, I think. You know, like you get used to certain browser and then you just use it, and without even considering to switch to something else. You know, I know that this is how I fall in trap of using Safari, for example. You know, it's not like that I like had this idea that I want to switch to Safari, but I had it installed automatically and I started using it, and then it was hard for me, to switch to something else, and then the same thing for Chrome and so on. So it's a kind of what is really cool about Brave is that it's using Chromium. So basically, you don't have much difference. You can use all of the extensions from Chrome anyway that you are maybe using already. So yeah, this is not a commercial. It's not paid commercial for Brave, but I think it's a really nice solution, and I'm very happy that I see this initiative growing.
Yeah, imagine Internet Explorer, including crypto wallets. So it will probably be.
You mean Edge?
Oh,
Edge,
yeah.
yeah.
You'll probably wait more to open the web page than to pay the transaction or to mine it.
Do you maybe remember, guys? There was this commercial for Internet Explorer, the browser you like to hate, or something like that. That was the slogan.
That's the best browser for downloading other browsers.
3327.
Okay, very good. Thank you, guys. Tell me, we also there is an interesting thing going on in the Bitcoin space.
Yeah, definitely. So about 137,000 Bitcoin is about to hit the market beginning from August until October. So what happened was, for people that are new to the crypto space, around 2013 there was an exchange called Mt. Gox, and on that exchange it was the exchange you go to. It had 70% of Bitcoin trades. So if you wanted to trade Bitcoin, you would go there. But by the end of 2013, beginning of 2014, a lot of problems happened. Their private key was stolen, and they lost 750,000 Bitcoin from users and even 100,000 Bitcoin of their own. And so they went into a very lengthy.
It's a lot of money, right?
Yes.
I mean, yeah. In nowadays terms, it's how much? It's like 18 billion of.
Like a small state.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
To buy an island.
Yeah, very much money. Yeah.
So yeah, they filed for bankruptcy, of course, and went through a lengthy proceeding with the Tokyo District Council, and so the result of that was that they've managed to retrieve 200,000 Bitcoin, and the investors, or let's say traders on that platform, are getting 137,000 of those Bitcoins back. So we'll see that those Bitcoins be paid out from August until October, and who knows what people are gonna do with those.
Yeah, this is a lot of money again.
Yes.
I mean, this is like over 3 billion value.
Yeah.
So if this goes, if people start selling, anything can happen. What do you think is going to happen? Huh?
Definitely.
Imagine that pump and dump.
Yeah.
What would that be?
I think there's a lot of opinions. Like, on one hand, those people, by around 2013, Bitcoin was $1,000. It's what, 23,000 now?
Yeah.
So those people, if they sell, they're cashing out big.
Yes.
But on the other hand, those are the people that bought Bitcoin at 1,000, so they were really into it.
Yeah, and they're early investors.
Definitely.
Yeah. So they have this maybe a faith in Bitcoin in general, because after all, Bitcoin is going up. If we take a long term, it's always growing.
Yeah,
so.
like we were saying just a bit ago, like we're in a kind of a low point, and it's showing signs of it going up. So I'm guessing those people might want to wait until they want to sell it.
Yeah.
We hope they will wait because
Yeah,
if they dump
because
everything-
otherwise it can be really bad, you know. But even Satoshi wrote that he said once, you know, like every lost coin is a donation, and by that he was saying that basically, you know, like if you lose some coins, you actually it gets out of the market, you know, and basically increases the value, and because Bitcoin has limited supply, I think about 21 million.
Yeah, the final supply is going to be right 21 million.
Yes,
Right now they're
yes.
around 19.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, it will never be sold. So basically, it influences good the market itself. But I don't think that people are so you know
Short-sighted?
Yeah.
short-sighted.
Yeah.
I don't think they will sell it because if they do sell it, it's like shooting in their own leg. So
Yeah,
the
but-
last one to sell his part, it will be.
But it's a huge temptation.
Yep,
I mean,
definitely.
you can imagine that you invested something not too much, you know, and then you one day you're millionaire, and you really want that plane to
that
buy it.
Lambo.
You know?
Yeah, but also the good question is how many of them received the coins? If it was around how much? Around
137,000?
137,000. If that's 137,000 people, so that's 1 Bitcoin per person. So if let's say if there are how many? Let's say how many people
I'm not
receive
sure.
tokens?
I don't know how many users there are.
Yeah.
You know, like the amount of Bitcoin is 137,000 Bitcoin, but I don't know how many beneficiaries or
Beneficiaries.
Yeah.
So the problem will be only if they all sold it at the same time, because then you'll have a large amount of Bitcoins at the market.
Yes, this is good thing that they are not giving them all at once, but
Yeah.
we will have from August to September, October.
yeah.
Yeah, so it will be a little bit of time frame, you know. So even if some people get panicked or would like to sell for any reason, it's not going to be that much as imagine everything in one day or a few days.
Yeah,
that
they're
would
going to
be
synchronize attack.
catastrophic.
3327.
Promise that we are going to talk a little bit about zero knowledge. Zero knowledge is a kind of hype in Web3 industry for quite some time because it really helps. I mean, it promises that we can optimize blockchains, that we can optimize protocols in a way that we get more transactions, we can get better performances, and so on. But there were also some kind of I would say problems on the same side because like these ZK solutions were a little bit slow, they're costly, to produce the proofs and so on. But some of the interesting things are going on recently.
Yeah, sure. First let's give some short introduction. So zero knowledge at first was technology developed, not just developed, it was the idea that came around in the late 80s or so. And first it was a crypto mechanism to hide inputs. So you have to prove the calculation right, you have the inputs and you don't want to show those inputs. So initially it was a privacy preserving method, but now it's interesting to see that same
Initially
technology.
it was a solution for how to solve Sudoku, but don't show the solution.
Yeah.
And that was
state of the
usage
art.
of zero knowledge at that time, I think.
Yeah, and initially those algorithms for constructing proofs were not very efficient. So the first efficient algorithms came in, I think, around 10 years ago
Yeah.
or so. Or maybe less even.
Mm-hmm.
And today it's interesting to see the same principles not applied to privacy only, but applied to scaling Ethereum. So it's not really important to hide those transactions because blockchain is transparent. The idea is to put as much as possible transactions into blocks and to be sure that all the state changes are correct. So you're proving again the computation, but you're not hiding the inputs. It doesn't matter if you see the transaction because the important thing is just to prove that the computation was correct. And now the interesting thing on the market is Polygon ZK EVM. So what the ZK EVM is EVM. It's Ethereum virtual machine. So it's a machine working on Ethereum, the backbone of Ethereum, but with a slight difference that it works like a zero knowledge zero knowledge machine.
Basically zero knowledge rollup, right? ZK rollup.
Well, similarly, yeah. The idea is to have the same transactions, not same transactions, same code running on Ethereum to be able to run on ZK EVM, but as a rollup.
Yep.
And then to submit those transactions in batches, put them as proofs, zero knowledge proofs, and send them to the main chain.
Yeah.
So why is it important that it's an EVM?
Well, all the big chains. Not all the big chains, but Ethereum, Polygon, Harmony chain, they're all running Solidity code. And Solidity code is naturally it's compiled actually, into EVM bytecode. So if you support the EVM bytecode, using a zero knowledge machine, that means that you're supporting every smart contract already written in Solidity for other chains.
Yes, and I would say also not only that, but also tooling and all kinds of things that we are used to, developing in Solidity and so on. We can use for this then, and we don't have to switch to some other tools, right?
Yeah, of course.
That's true.
Stack Overflow answers.
Yeah, Stack Overflow are still valid. Yeah, good point. Yeah, and so the point is that if we are sending the proof, we can roll up a lot of transactions, which will basically increase the performance because reduce the gas fees and everything. So it's very scalable.
It's faster and cheaper.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Yeah, but as far as I understand, the biggest problem was that it was kind of impossible to solve this computational problem of these proofs because they were slow and so on. But now something is changing. I see Polygon actually announced that they have a really good solution. They are still working on it. It's not a final solution. They have entering some kind of test phase. But what they did, they put open source the code and they announced this on ETHCC in Paris currently happening, right? So it's a big news, and it actually even influenced the market in a way that Matic jumped, I think, or didn't. No, it didn't.
A little bit.
Yeah, maybe. But the whole point is that I think it's a big thing. And what I was interesting when I was reading about it is that actually because Polygon has lots of these teams that are, and some of them are working on these zero knowledge solutions. They were all working together, although initially this is Polygon Hermes. Right. But they were working together to produce this. I'm wondering how do you make it compatible? How do you basically have to write all to support opcodes from
for
EVM.
each opcode you need to define the transitions between states and to create zero knowledge proofs that those transitions are valid. So if all transitions are valid in one transaction, it means the entire transaction is valid. It's currently in alpha phase, so you can find the code on GitHub. You can see you can see the issues that are open. You can contribute to the project if you want.
Yeah. What is interesting to me is also that, they said that the testnet is coming, closed testnet is coming very soon, but in a few weeks there will be also a public testnet. The code is open source. But what was interesting for me is also I read somewhere that Mihailo Bijelic from Polygon said that actually they are also thinking about how to use Polygon Avail because they want to increase the performance even more and
not just performance, the data availability.
Data availability, exactly. That we can use that. So it's a promising technology altogether. The Polygon is doing right things, I would say.
Absolutely, and as they they also said on GitHub or on their blog post, I don't know, right? That the bugs are expected in these phases, and that's completely fine.
Sure.
Because the technology is this is one of the first zero knowledge EVMs introduced into a large project that is now Polygon has become.
Yeah, and after all, having it open sourced means that community will also contribute, find bugs, complain, and so on. So this is a good thing.
Yeah, I'm looking really forward to getting my hands into that and seeing what it can do.
Also, interesting thing about the zero knowledge is as we also mentioned, zero knowledge proofs are slow to generate, and that's why the zero knowledge EVMs could theoretically be possible in the past, but the generation of those proofs will be very slow, so the rollup will not achieve that performance that was promised. And that's why we waited for the ZK EVMs so long. But even now with this ZK EVM, to be a node that prepares the proofs and submits them to the Ethereum main chain, you need to have specific hardware. So specialized hardware is required for generating proofs in a time that is required to achieve the performances of the rollup.
Cool.
3327.
Disney announced that Polygon is selected for the Disney Accelerator program. So they want to include NFTs, augmented reality, and artificial intelligence into their interactive programs all across their Disney parks. And they're always looking for new solutions and like being on the bleeding edge of technology. So they made that accelerator program for those experiences, and Polygon was selected to be one of the members that are gonna work towards creating those experiences for Disney.
Okay, so does it mean that then the witch will give the Matic token to the Snow White, or what does it mean exactly?
Yeah, the nodes will be deployed on Tatooine.
We did some research. Okay, it was the first thing we read on a forum.
Okay, it was not really a first thing that we read on the forum, but we can talk a little bit about it. Actually, recently we were doing a lot in the field of decentralized identities. We were doing some research in that field, verifiable credentials and so on. So I would just say that in a way there are several ways how we can have identities on blockchain, and some of them are really pretty simple, and I would say maybe not so effective. Like you can store your public key, but then somebody can have many addresses and basically we cannot really identify them. Or you can use some of these identity aggregators, and you can also use some off-chain solutions. So what do you think about that, guys? What are the options and what is the future basically of decentralized identities?
Well, the identity itself, we need to first define what the identity is, and or even better, how do you prove that you own some identity? So currently you use your ID card, you show the passport, the driving license, so on. But what is what is the document actually?
Yep.
It's a claim from the authorized entity that issued your document that you are who you are representing to be.
So basically the identity is not something special if you don't have some kind of authority that is going to give you some sort of credential, right?
Well, you are that entity, but the multiple documents are just claims that you are who you say you are.
Yep.
So it's basically just if many people say that you are, I don't know, the president of the universe, whatever. So if everyone claims that means you probably
are the president.
But it's not like collecting people.
Unless you
on
have
streets,
some sort of secret cult, and these people are.
What that means is it doesn't mean that you find 1,000 people on the street and they just for the sake of fun just sign the claim that you are the owner of the city. But
what are the usages generally, and do you think that this is important for? I mean, my personal opinion is that this is one of the most maybe important topics in Web3. Why I think that? Because if we solve it properly, it unlocks lots of different use cases, and in the future we will have options, like from solutions like to prove your working biography, credentials from the university's courses, to some maybe governmental usages like replacing passports, identity cards, and things like that. But the problem that we have there is some sort of standard. The problem is some sort of I would say general adoptance of how we do this. And the only thing that probably we know in this point is that if we are talking about identities on blockchain, we should aim for something that is cross-chain, that is not really some very small ecosystem related, but maybe something bigger. Although even these small solutions can work for the specific purpose.
Yeah, I think the name of the game is adoption, and the best way you can get adoption is actually by making it available on different chains.
Yep.
definitely.
Yeah, but like recently Vitalik was actually talking about one of solutions or proposals that he said, and I was really curious about it. It's called sold-out tokens. Have you heard about it?
Yeah, we did some research inside a team about those. It's very interesting. I mean, in my opinion, like verifiable credentials and decentralized identities have been around for years at this point. But it's interesting. I mean, he is such a huge visionary, and soul-bound tokens are they're destined to get a lot of hype just because he's talking about them. So we'll see which one gets adopted better.
Yeah, you're right. My impression is that if this technology becomes, standardized in a way, if there is a way how this should be done and people are following the standard, then there is a much bigger chance that it is going to be used. Because, like everybody knows, like nowadays when you're making NFT, there is a standard for that, and people are using the same contract over and over again. Maybe they will change something, but in general, this is how NFT works. So if we have some sort of standard for decentralized identity in the future, it may lead to that organizations are starting to using them more and basically trust this, because this is now you have a use case that is repeated over and over and over again, and people will have more trust in such solutions, and eventually it will maybe become something that is really huge and big for big projects.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of the most important issues that Web3 has to tackle, but it's got a really long way to go, especially when you talk about the other way around, when you're talking about, like, let's say GDPR or the right to be forgotten. Like, you want to prove your identity, but you also want to be able to disappear when you want to.
That's true, and there are lots of technical issues, and I would say conceptual issues, architectural issues that are that need to be solved in this.
Yeah, but the promising thing is that I think all the chains share the same concepts of digital signatures. So the cryptography is same in both Web 2 and Web 3 world.
Yep.
So it's the same thing. So if you have a signature that is generating an address on Ethereum, the same private key will generate probably the addresses that are usable at any other chain that supports the same signature schema.
When we talk about identities, we can also talk about authorization on blockchain and so on. And there is a nice research project that we were working on and still working basically, but we have some nice project. Maybe Alex, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. So the topic is authorization now. Not identities, but the same concepts could be applied to identities eventually, which is actually the goal of the research. So what does it mean to be authorized for something? Like let's say you want to be authorized to do a withdrawal from some account and so on.
Yep.
Even better, let's take a concrete example like ICOs. In the past.
Mostly.
Yeah. The goal was to whitelist people to buy the coins. So when it comes to the ICO event, the people would just go with their addresses and try to withdraw money from the tokens that were sold from the smart contract. And to do that, the companies had to whitelist maybe thousands of participants. That means not really the 1,000 transactions, but it's proportional. So let's say you want to introduce to whitelist 100 addresses, you would need many transactions on a blockchain, which was very expensive. Maybe expensive. It was expensive then, but it's also expensive today, even more. And the idea was to look at this concrete problem from some other angle. So what does it mean to get authorized to do something? It really means that some issuer that is the owner of the system, of the game, the issuer signs the approval for you to do some transaction. In this particular case, the issuer would submit a transaction on blockchain saying you as address 0x12345, you are allowed to do some action, and what you did is just sign the transaction which would change the state on the blockchain. Now imagine doing the same thing off-chain. So if you as an issuer for some not in general for the blockchain, but for some of your use cases, you want to authorize someone to perform certain action, you could just sign the approval off-chain, give that approval to the member, to the person, and the person would submit on the blockchain your approval, which is basically just another longer way to the smart contract. You're not sending transaction directly. And the difference is that you're not, as a company, you're not paying 1,000 transactions. It's 1,000 smaller transactions for every participant, which is probably
so
nothing if you buy.
You split the cost, And this solution is kind of you're inspired a little bit about some solutions from Web 2, if I understand well.
It was the inspiration was JSON Web Token. So what you do, you fetch your JSON Web Token from authorization service, and then when you want to use some service which is accepting tokens issued from your issuer, they will just see, okay, this token is signed by my trusted issuer, I will accept the transaction. And now the idea was, let's try to do that on a blockchain. So why not? And we basically made a token which we named Omni Web Token because it's on all the webs acceptable. So it's the same.
So it's basically the same logic that can be applied for Web 2 or Web 3.
It's a JSON Web Token, but with addition of what we call the blockchain token, which you submit to the blockchain as you would use your JSON Web Token on Web 2 service. You submit your blockchain token, and you would then perform certain action which you're authorized to do. Now there is we're using signatures again. It's not anything new, but our addition to the signature mechanism is that we standardize it a bit. So we're not making tokens specifically for each use case. We try to define certain use cases, certain schemas for those tokens to cover many use cases with those tokens.
Yeah, very good, very good. I think this is a very interesting because it has a lot of potential to be used outside. For example, one of my friends recently asked me they want to launch a new NFT collection, and what they have is that they want to create a pre-sale of this, and in order to create a pre-sale they need to authorize a lot of users. And this is exactly the use case for what you are saying, so I think it's a very interesting idea. Okay, so in the description of this episode we are going to put the link to this research so that people can read a little bit more about it and maybe ask some questions, but in general I find it very interesting, and we are going to continue working on this research, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
3327 FM.
Okay, so finally, let's talk a little bit about some of the upcoming events. This is the part of our podcast, something that we would like to share with you. So, I mean, lots of things are going on. We have, in the moment, some of the conferences all around the world. But there is one that I particularly like and I would like to mention. It is called Web3 Delights. And it is happening in Nigeria, Lagos. So why this is so interesting is that, well, what happened is that some of the people that we are actually know started, this idea only let's say 4 weeks ago, and they had an idea to create a conference in Nigeria, but and then very soon, they created a huge event. I mean, it is going to happen on 29th of July, and it is going to be offline and online, and as far as I know there is like already 3,500 participants. There are like 40 speakers for all over the world.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's really amazing, and I think this is an event that deserves attention.
The whole point is decentralization, and I think Lagos is like Web3 Delight is proving that by making such a, let's say, exotic conference.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much. This was all for today. I'm going to just to tell you guys that this was our first episode, as we already said, so don't be too harsh on us. We are trying, but it is a new experience for us as well. But I believe that this is a nice concept, and hopefully in the future we will have an opportunity to include you, the listeners, or people who are watching this show. So also we are going to bring some experts. We are going to bring other people from the team so that we can talk about these interesting topics. And thank you very much. If you actually watched so long, then you probably like it. So thank you a lot. That was it for today.
Badass people inspired by a badass scientist.
3327 FM.
Putting the 3 in web